board member of the Fintech Society of Tanzania, Mr. De Gregorius Kiwale, on behalf of the President, Mr. Assem Misango, members of the Secretariat of the Fintech Society of Tanzania, invited guests from the wider Fintech community, from academia, practitioners in industry, regulators, members of the press corps, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I want to say that I'm truly grateful for the blessing of all of us being able to meet here this morning. And next, I do want to thank the Fintech Society of Tanzania for inviting me to not only participate in this conference, but to also be the guest of honor and deliver the keynote address to this distinguished audience. Last but not least, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and for participating in this conference. I want to begin my keynote address by congratulating the Fintech Society of Tanzania for successfully organizing the second annual conference, having successfully held the first conference around this time last year at the same venue. The theme for this year's conference is building a connected financial ecosystem for Tanzania's next growth phase, designing the foundations of digital finance, trust, and scale. I want to commend the Fintech Society of Tanzania for choosing this as the theme for this year's conference, as it comes right at the time when we're just about to embark on our journey towards Tanzania Development Vision 2050, dira 2050. For those that have read it, which I hope is all of us, the vision positions fintech as the core pillar for building a digital, inclusive, and $1 trillion competitive economy by the year 2050. In order for this to be realized, however, it is necessary that the fintech subsector scales up and starts playing a much bigger role and more significant role than it is doing currently. It is no secret that globally, as well as here in Tanzania, fintechs are praised for being innovative, agile, and nimble, all attributes which have helped the subsector grow very fast. However, it's my personal conviction, and I do hope that you agree with me, that the potential is much bigger than the current state of play. According to statistics that I've read from about roughly a year ago, and I stand to be corrected because I'm not an expert in this field, the total value of payments facilitated by fintechs were valued at around 200 billion. And I particularly picked payments because a big part of what fintechs offer in Tanzania at least lies on the payment space. Now, let's assume that by the end of the year, because these statistics are from around, I think, June 2025, let's assume that we grew to around $250 billion in terms of payments going through the facilitated by fintechs. Now, compare that to the GDP of the country. Now, of course, the official statistics are not out yet, but roughly it's estimated that the GDP of Tanzania will be at around $7.5 billion by the time we have our final numbers as at the end of 2025. Now, for the economy of this size, it's $7.5 billion, having a contribution in terms of just payments of 200 billion turnover. That's still a small play, in my opinion. Now let's circle back to our ambition as a country. Our ambition is that in 25 years, our GDP is going to grow from the current roughly at 7.5 billion to 1 trillion in 25 years. This equates to a compounded annual growth rate of about 10.25% annually. Now, it's an ambitious growth rate for our GDP. Now, on the plus side, fintechs are not to grow at a much faster rate than that. So fintechs do have a time to catch up. But that said, there needs to be an accelerated growth, and this growth needs to come faster and then early on in the years so that fintechs can play a catalytic role in helping other sectors of the economy grow at a targeted CAGR of 10.25% minimum that I mentioned earlier. I therefore call upon all of us, speakers, panelists, moderators, and the participating audience to really challenge ourselves during the course of today and come up with a call to action on what needs to be done to be able to, as the theme suggests, build a connected financial ecosystem for Tanzania's next growth phase. And again, as the theme suggests, the key to achieving this is by developing and designing the foundations of digital finance, trust, and scale. When I was looking at today's program, there are many exciting and interesting panel discussions and presentations. And they focus on the main key areas that we usually discuss whenever we have such kind of conferences: policy, technology, financing, partnerships, etc., etc. And I will personally come back later, which is not typical for the guest of honor, but I will come back later on onto this stage again for a panel discussion. And without preempting what I'm going to talk about later on, I do want to take on this opportunity to touch a little bit on an area that I believe will help set the tone for some of the discussion that will come and that will be taking place during the course of today, because that is the job of the keynote speech, is to set up the tone. And as you were introduced, I do come from capital markets. Specifically, I'm the CEO of the stock exchange, but I do have wealth of experience in the capital market space. And later on, I'll be speaking more about capital markets and fintech. But I want to touch on some of my recent experiences, having been the CEO of the stock exchange for a little over 18 months now, and my experience of leveraging technology and working with fintechs. As at the end of January 2026, the total number of investment accounts, which are called CDS accounts in the DSE, stood at 761,465, laki 761,465 unique accounts. Compared to 18 months ago, 18 months prior, about a year and a half, which is around the time when I joined, because I joined on the 1st of August 2024, the total number of exchange accounts that the DSE had, CDS accounts that the DSE had stood at 505,680. This means that in a year and a half, we saw a 27% growth in terms of number of investment accounts on the stock exchange. Now, I think, and I hope most of you are aware, but if not, I want to share with you that around November 2020, the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange introduced a mobile trading platform, which is both web-based, but later on we also introduced an app that allows investors to not only have to go through the traditional means of going to the broker's office, fill in paperwork, etc., but now at the comfort of your computer or your mobile device, you can actually trade and do all transactions. Over the course of the last 5 years or so, we've kept improving and investing in that. Now, I spoke about the 595,680 as of July 31st, 2024 accounts, which grew to 761,465 as at the end of January 2026. But those accounts that are specifically connected on the mobile trading platform, the number as at the end of July 2024 was only 28,108, whereas at the end of January 2026, the number grew to 166,898. So that's 493.77% increase, meaning that we grew 6 times as much, from 28,000 to 166, or almost 167. So you can see that on the mobile front, the accounts that are being onboarded are increasing at a much faster rate. Now, of course, this is a combination of, on one part, you do have accounts that had already been opened through traditional means, through paper-based account opening, that were later on converted. So you had your CDS account with your broker, and then you connected that to a mobile trading platform. But a bigger part of it, and that's true for more recent joiners on the mobile trading platform, these are completely new accounts, new investors that come in, and actually they open their investment account by using the mobile trading platform. Now, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is that we've provided the mobile trading platform to provide convenience to our investors. We've converted some of the old investors that were already there to start using the mobile trading platform. But new investors are coming in straight to the mobile trading platform when they open the investment accounts for the first time. Of course, the success of the mobile trading platform, the growth that we've seen is a combination of us converting old investors, some of the promotional work we've been doing as exchanges, working with our partners such as brokers, certified financial education educators, and so on, investments that we've done on the platform, but more importantly, it's also work that we've done integrating with fintechs in the form of banks through their mobile trading platform, what I would call a fintech, the fintech arm of the banks. And I see some of my former banking colleagues that work in this space, that work in products and by extension work with digital banking side, working with mobile network operators and other fintechs. But the other point that I want to mention is that the organic growth that has come through the mobile trading platform gives you an idea of how fast and how quickly technology can help us in all different aspects of the economy that we're trying to push. Now, looking at the total size of the population of Tanzania, around 68 million Tanzanians that we have estimated since our last census. And if you look at the total number of accounts that we have up until end of day yesterday, which is around 795,000, almost 800,000 accounts, you can still see that the penetration from stock exchange to total population of Tanzania is still small. But what that tells you is that the potential is much bigger out there. We still have 68 million Tanzanians that we haven't reached out to. And the same is true for all other sectors and subsectors. I know later on one of the speakers will be Dr. Bagayo Sakware, the Commissioner of Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority, TIRA, and he's going to speak about fintech and the insurance space. So we'll hear about fintech and insurance, fintech and capital markets. I've touched a bit, I'll come back later on. But generally speaking, there are a host of all other sectors that fintech can plug in and help to accelerate this growth. So when you talk about Tanzania's next growth phase, it doesn't just end with the financial services sector. There are all these other sectors that drive the economy of the country. And if you look at the Vision 2050, there are about 10 key sectors that have been identified in that vision that are targeted to drive the economic growth of the country. So if fintech are going to play that role that I mentioned earlier, be a key pillar in driving this growth, and if you want to be relevant, then you have to move beyond the financial services sector, capital markets, saving insurance, etc. And the partnerships that we're going to be discussing today and beyond, and the solutioning that you're going to be providing has to focus on all these sectors as identified in DIRA 2050 and beyond. And in order to play a significant role, you have to remember that at the end of the day, any financing that fintech deals with, at the end of the day, the payment that you're making, etc., is payment for a particular need. There is an underlying need that you're targeting. So fintechs can only be more relevant if your connectedness goes beyond just the financial sector, which is the theme for today, but be connected and plugged into all sectors. So if we're offering a solution for payment, but that solution maybe targets farmers or something of the sort, so can you provide end-to-end? Or partner with someone else that will provide the agri-information solution, etc., when you provide the payment connectivity, or the financing connectivity for that matter. So let's see how we can be connected and integrated, like I said, not just in the financial ecosystem, but across the entire economy of Tanzania. And by doing so, we will be able to achieve having a fintech sector that plays a significant role in Tanzania's next growth phase. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope my keynote address has set the tone for today. Thank you for listening to me. I wish you a good conference, and I wish you a very good day. Thank you.